Heyo everyone, Mimi Viggs here. Apologies for sounding awful. I'm currently battling a sinus infection, but with Wilds' release literally days away, I wanted to take the opportunity to have a closer look at the flagship of the sixth entry in this franchise, Arkveld, the White Wraith, the shadow that looms in the mind of Nata because it randomly destroyed his village. Or was it? I'm a fan of game lore, science, and Monster Hunter takes both of these interests and smashes them together quite nicely. As usual, all footage was captured from PS5 Standard Edition, so let's take a closer look at Arkveld and see if this monster deserves the title given to it. When you locate it, Arkveld stands out in this environment with its ash-gray scales and feathers with very dark shading at select points, a slouched posture giving it a very solemn appearance. It's almost a stone statue with colorful backdrop, a good contrast to most of the life within the Windward Plains. Particularly when you notice that most of the wildlife within this region has a rubbery or leathery skin, scales, plates, and fur. Lots and lots of fur. What I'm getting at is that there are a few moments of feathers, and the fact alone implies that Arkveld moved here from another region, possibly a region where feathers would have a benefit to survival more than in the plains. Yes, there are flocks of birds that can be seen in the wastes, but larger life forms, as of right now, do not seem to have feathers, although that may change after the full release of the game. That being said, Arkveld's anatomy is somewhat puzzling considering its overall size and potential carnivorous diet, which currently has not been proven, though judging by his teeth, I can say that it's not really hunting aquatic prey, and it's definitely not eating plants or insects. His back feet seem to be zygodactyly. I could be mistaken, but judging by the fact that it has 4 toes, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and they seem to have a grab orientation, I'm going to say that possibly he is capable of scooping up prey with his back feet and carrying them distance. Its front feet, claws, paws, have 3 digits, one of them appearing to have mobility akin to a thumb, while also having the chain-like appendage stretching from the outermost part of the limb. It has control over this extended appendage, leading me to believe the whip is comprised of muscle tissue and tendon fibers that allow the flexing and contracting of the appendage, which also allows the bone-like growths on the surface to be utilized for defense as well as hunting. These growths appear to work in a similar way as, say, a person's fingernails, as the observations have shown Arkveld having to trim them, which may also contribute to how they are shaped. Some of these maintenance actions in regards to his chains may also be a means to mark a location, not necessarily claiming the territory for itself, but more of a warning to local large monsters that it is in fact there and that they need to stay away. It will even rattle them, which could be a potential threat display to show anyone and anything nearby to back off. A lovely little tidbit of immersion that was included is the fact that Arkveld has a drinking animation. It wouldn't be me if I didn't point out that Arkveld will stop and drink from the little stream on the plains, and I just find that too adorable to pass up. That said, Arkveld is aggressive and will attack the hunter should they venture close enough and outstay their welcome. He will lash out using the chain-light whips that erupt with energy, and he can power them up, afflicting dragon blight upon any that are impacted directly or had the misfortune of being struck by the splash damage from the explosions. He could take flight and use the whips to quickly pull back down toward the target at incredible speed, and even use the whips to redirect themselves mid-flight. Unfortunately, charging energy through the chain seems to also strain them, making them vulnerable to attack for a short period of time. With all that said, you would think that this makes Arkveld truly a terrible beast, a beast worthy of ire and hate. However, environmental storytelling can shed some light into the theory that perhaps Arkveld is not as horrible as we are led to believe. As of the release of this video, the only knowledge given to us, the player, is that Arkveld decimated a hidden village that Nata was the only person that managed to escape from. Nata's account stated that the White Wraith decimated his people and his village, and that information fuels the expedition that the hunter is now a part of. That is the drive of the story. However, during my observations of Arkveld, I noticed something odd about the creature's behaviors. His stature is slumped. This could indicate poor musculature, possible atrophy, which forces Arkveld to have some difficulty walking with its head upright. This could cause the creature to have narrow sight lines, limiting its vision by a certain degree. Arkveld also struggles to walk, having very heavy labored steps as it traverses the flat plains area. Some could argue that the whip-like appendages are causing this, and to some extent, I can agree that perhaps the chains are picking up excess debris, thus making them bulkier and forcing Arkveld to maintain them more frequently. But who is to say that Arkveld's chains were even supposed to get that long in the first place? Who is to say that Arkveld, a potentially rare species of large monster, was not kept in confinement for purposes we do not yet know? Arkveld is not the first monster in the series to boast whip-like appendages. Berokurosu, apologies for the pronunciation, is one such monster that was introduced in Monster Hunter Frontier, which was an online title I believe was only released in Japan. So my theory, before I get lost in a tangent, is that Arkveld was contained, likely chained up, away from the world, likely by the villagers that Nata calls family, and he managed to break free of these chains and, in desperation, rampaged through the city to make an escape. We have art released by Capcom that shows Arkveld in a frozen cave with unnatural chains likely crafted by man, woven through Arkveld's whips and disappearing beneath the feathers of his wings, which could hide potentially shackles or some form of collar to hold the beast in place. With that theory also comes to a wonderful realization that the hunt portrayed in the beta, you are in fact fighting an Arkveld that is not at full strength, and I also find the 20-minute time limit given to players during the beta just presses how strong this beast could potentially be in its prime without the health problems. If this is true, then Arkveld doesn't deserve the hate being thrown around it. Nata's anger, while it could be justified, would need to be redirected, as there is a chance he was not aware of the creature's confinement. There is also the possibility that it was not his people that contained Arkveld, and that they were unfortunately in the path of destruction created during Arkveld's desperate attempt to be free. Personally, I cannot wait to see what the story of Wilds will unfold, and I hope you are just as hype about it as I am. What are your thoughts on Arkveld? Have a theory of your own? As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope to do more Monster Hunter content going forward. I hope you will join me then as well. So until next time, have a great rest of your day and happy hunting!